In my previous video, we looked at the value of all assets on the planet and reached an insane number, $1.5 quadrillion. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. If you have seen it already, prepare for the next step, as there is one market that has grown to a level exceeding everything we have seen before. At $2.5 trillion, the foreign exchange market is the largest financial market in the world. Since the beginning of the millennium, it's grown by more than 5 times, with $2.5 quadrillion now being traded every single year. This is more than 20 times the size of the global stock market, almost 100 times the GDP of the United States, and 1,000 times the value of Microsoft. Breaking this down into smaller time intervals, trading in foreign exchange markets averages $7.5 trillion every day. This is equal to the value of all physical money in the world, meaning all banknotes and coins across all countries. $300 billion every hour. This is equal to all the money Apple is making in a year. $5 billion every minute. This is more than Donald Trump's net worth. And almost $100 million every single second. This is more than the CEO of Apple is earning in a year. Let's continue to break this colossal market down into a few smaller pieces. Currencies are traded in pairs. The 10 most traded pairs account for more than 80% of the market. Number 10. The euro against the British pound. This one has become one of the most volatile pairs in our top 10 due to the uncertainty around Brexit and the UK's changing relationship with Europe following the country's decision to leave the European Union. Given the proximity of the UK to Europe and historical links, recent deterioration in the UK's trading relationship with EU, one of the biggest markets in the world, also impacted the value of the pound. On June 23, 2016, when British voters decided unexpectedly that the UK should no longer be part of the European Union, the pound plummeted and lost 7% of its value against the euro. The euro and British pound pairing is also referred to as channel, in reference to the English Channel separating England and France, now connected through a tunnel that runs underneath the waters, which was completed around the same time the new euro currency was launched. Number 9 and 8 are covered by the British pound and the euro trading against the Japanese yen. Forex traders refer to these pairings as GBP and UP, which refers to the 3-letter currency codes, where euro and yen are abbreviated as EUR and JPY, which combine into EUPY, pronounced UP. Likewise, replacing the euro with the British pound's GBP, we get GBP. Now, the rest of the currency pairs involve the US dollar. What are the main currencies the US dollar is traded against? Number 7. The New Zealand dollar, issued by the country's Reserve Bank. The country is a major exporter of agricultural products, like dairy and meat, so the value of its currency is likely to go up if demand and prices for these products increase. A few things from New Zealand are referred to as Kiwi, from their citizens to sports teams and their currency, referring to a flightless bird that is only found in New Zealand, the nation's icon and symbol, which also appears on the $1 coin. By the way, New Zealand's $20 note looks very similar to the one in Canada, which we will cover shortly, both showing Queen Elizabeth II, as she was the queen of both Commonwealth countries. Number 6. The Swiss franc. This is the official currency of Switzerland and Liechtenstein, issued by the Swiss National Bank. The country's reputation for financial services, banking secrecy, and low levels of debt makes the Swissy a safe haven currency. This means it will increase in value at times of global uncertainty as investors look for a safe place to store their capital. This is not always a good thing. Switzerland is already an expensive place to live and do business, and a strong currency makes it even harder for companies to generate profits as no one outside the country can afford their products. The solution? In September 2011, when the financial markets around the world were in turmoil and the Swiss franc became more and more valuable, the Swiss National Bank set an upper limit to the value of their currency, and they had to defend it by printing francs and using them to buy dollar, euros, and yen themselves. Over the next 3 years, the central bank accumulated almost $500 billion worth of foreign currency, equal to a staggering 70% of Switzerland's GDP. In a surprise move, in January 2015, the Swiss National Bank suddenly dumped their interventions, sending shockwaves around the world. The Swiss franc immediately skyrocketed 20%, the Swiss stock market collapsed, and a number of hedge funds took big losses. Number 5. The Canadian dollar, issued by the Bank of Canada. The country is rich in natural resources and a major exporter of commodities. The currency is likely to increase if demand and the price for commodities increases, as buyers will have to get their hands on Canadian dollars first. The Canadian dollar is commonly called the loonie, in reference to the loon bird that appears on their coins. The term became so popular that it was trademarked by the Royal Canadian Mint, which produces all coins. And when the Canadian $2 coin was introduced 9 years later, it was nicknamed the toonie. Canada's major trading partner is the United States, which accounts for 3/4 of all exports and half of all imports. As a result, Canada's economy and the value of the Canadian dollar are sensitive to changes in the US's performance. The loonie lost value when their American neighbor had their tech boom in the 1990s and reached its all-time low in January 2002. Since then, its value has recovered as the price for oil and other commodities that Canada exports around the world increased. And when the global financial crisis started unfolding in the US, the Canadian dollar became more valuable than its US counterpart. Due to its soaring value, the Canadian dollar was named the Canadian Newsmaker of the Year in 2007, an award that has never named a woman as a winner, only men, and now one currency. Number 4. The Australian dollar, the official currency of the Commonwealth of Australia, issued by the country's Reserve Bank. Similar to Canada, the Australian dollar is strongly linked to commodity prices and fluctuates with the price of gold, as the country is the third largest exporter of the precious metal, so shifts in demand will impact the value of their currency, which is also called Aussie, just like their citizens and sports teams. The Reserve Bank of Australia issues some of the most colorful notes, which all have exactly the same height but different lengths. The wider your note, the more valuable. The country's coins feature the only 2 mammals in the world that lay eggs, the platypus on the 20-cent coin and the echidna on the 5-cent coin. Australia lost their 1 and 2 cent coins in 1992. They were made of bronze, and once collected, they were melted down to create the bronze medals awarded in the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Number 3. The British pound. This is the official currency of the United Kingdom, issued by the Bank of England. The currency is also referred to as pound sterling, dating back to the Anglo-Saxon kingdom, which issued silver coins called sterlings, minted using a pound of silver. The pairing with the US dollar is colloquially called cable, dating back to the 19th century as a reference to the stock exchanges in London and New York being connected via a giant steel cable that ran under the Atlantic before satellites and fiber optic cables. The British pound is the oldest currency in the world and has had their fair share of historic crashes. In June 2016, in the 2 weeks following the shocking Brexit referendum, the pound dropped dramatically, losing 13% against the US dollar, and has yet to reach pre-Brexit levels again. But this drop was nothing compared to September 16, 1992, which became known as Black Wednesday for the pound. In the build-up to the euro, the continent introduced a system that allowed currencies to only fluctuate in narrow bands. Shortly after the UK joined, speculators, including hedge fund manager George Soros, placed multi-billion-dollar bets against the pound, causing the pound to fall in value and the UK to leave the system. What followed was one of the largest crashes in the British pound, which lost 25% against the US dollar. Number 2. The Japanese yen, the official currency of Japan and issued by the Bank of Japan. The strength of the yen is highly dependent on the strength of Japan's economy, as the value of the yen increases with demand for Japanese products, such as cars and electronics. The pairing with the US dollar is also referred to as ninja, a skilled fighter in feudal Japan dating back to the 15th century. Over the last 4 years, the yen has lost 50% of its value against the US dollar. Exchange rates are determined by a number of factors, and the recent yen decline follows economic textbooks. Currencies with the higher interest rate will become more valuable because they attract more investors. The yen's decline started when the US central bank started increasing their interest rates at a record pace, from near zero after the COVID pandemic back to above 5%. The Bank of Japan, however, continued to keep their rates negative, which pushed the yen to its lowest levels, not seen in the last 3 decades. Number 1. The euro, the official currency of the European Union and issued by the European Central Bank, or ECB. The popularity of the euro is due to the scale of the area where it's used, covering 19 countries, including economic powerhouses such as Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. Trading the euro against the US dollar is the most traded pair in the world, taking up almost 1/3 of the global forex market. Not surprising, as the US and the Eurozone are the largest economies in the world. The pairing of the euro with the US dollar is colloquially called fiber, but there's a debate as to why. One suggestion is that the name comes from the euro banknotes using pure cotton fiber instead of paper, which makes them more durable. Another suggestion is that the euro is a very new currency, launched in 1999 when it overtook the British pound as top trader currency at the time, similar to how fiber optic cables replaced the old cables in modern communications. If you enjoyed this video, please like and leave a comment. And if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my new channel and turn on notifications.